Okay, now we should have some microphone as well. Weird thing, OBS just stopped recording my audio from my microphone just a minute ago, but I hope now it's working. So yeah. So welcome to my live stream. Thanks for joining just up front. And just to describe this, let's say, main idea of the stream, recently I have seen a sort of spike in interest in FPGA-SID adapters, something I have created about almost 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I am not even sure. So thanks for the feedback. And yeah, so I thought let's dig into this topic, and I have picked actually two adapters. One adapter which is used for adding one FPGA SID to a 2-socket board, and the second adapter which is used to utilize even two FPGA SIDs on a 2-socket board. And I will go through this step by step. It will be a bit messy, I have to kind of warn you, because I haven't tested anything at all. I was just trying to get this whole setup running, because just as a little background information, I had to switch to a new PC because my old one was kind of all crumbling apart and wasn't really reliable anymore. And you may know switching systems kind of takes some time, and getting everything back to working properly isn't as easy as one may think at the beginning. So that's basically one of the reasons. And the next thing is that I'm actually a little bit distracted with a couple of other projects. And I thought, if I'm going to prepare a, let's say, structured episode about this whole FPGA thing, then it's never going to happen. And so I thought the easiest thing is actually just to do it live and to see the response, the questions, and then let's see how this whole thing is going to work. So as I said, there are actually two adapters. I will start with this one. Let's just switch the view. It's probably a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. Because up front we have to configure the FPGA SID. And this isn't working if we have two of them in one system, because then Config Guru is going to be a little bit confused about what it's supposed to do. And the next thing is that I'm actually wondering why I haven't soldered the audio pads here. That's probably going to be an issue, but that's something we can fix quite easily. And the next thing is that not all of the features possible with this dual FPGA SID adapter are working on the Ultimate64, because we need a couple of address signals that are just available on the reloaded MK2. So we may switch over to the MK2 in the middle of the stream. That's something we have to consider. And to make the audio available in a way I have in mind, I have created a not so quick but still dirty breakout adapter, so that I can connect my sound capture interface to the Ultimate64/FPGA SID adapter. Let's see how this is going to work. So I think as a first step, let's go and try to configure the FPGA SIDs, because I have stolen one from my... No, this adapter isn't finished at all. There's something missing. So interesting. So the messy stream starts right now. Let's get this fixed quite quickly. Or maybe let's do it a different way. I think I got one that's already ready. Okay, let's go for this one. So we save some time. We do not have to fiddle around with this stuff. Yep, this one is complete. So the main idea basically is that we use the address signals from the second SID socket and route them to the FPGA SID by a, let's say, simple trick. And therefore we need an additional cable that basically looks like this. It's not the original FPGA SID cable. I kind of got lost of them somewhere in my boxes. I have no idea. But most of the time I have built them in a different way anyway. But that's not going to be the topic of today. And the main idea of this adapter is that we get the audio produced from the FPGA SID, from the SID 1 and the SID 2, routed to this little adapter and routed back to the second socket. And that's the main reason for having this little pogo pin here, because this is actually getting in contact with this little hole you can see here right now. And this is the unamplified audio output of the FPGA SID, SID 2. And this has the very same level we get on pin 39 for SID 1. And therefore we should get a equally distributed, equally leveled stereo signal. So that's one of the purposes of using this adapter. So let's get this connected. And as I said, we have to connect pin 3 of this little connector to this so-called chip select signal. And then we should be able to get this into the board. I have to say something regarding the usage of the first edition, standard edition of the Ultimate64. This board is using this so-called, I think, spring socket, feather socket connectors. And the FPGA SID or the adapter is using this so-called drilled socket connector contacts. And they are actually round, and they are a little bit thicker than a standard pin of a standard SID, for example. And therefore the sockets of the Ultimate64 is kind of bended, kind of getting loose. So if we're going to insert a standard SID, this is going to be very easy, and even removal of the standard SID is a bit too easy. So there isn't really a good grip on those contacts anymore if you're using this type of socket connectors. So one recommendation would be simply to switch over to the Ultimate64 Elite Edition, because there you have this zero insert 4 sockets, and they are a little bit more robust to this type of socket connectors. But overall, it is a common issue with retro hardware. Hello Marco, thanks for joining. And well, that's something we just have to keep in mind. So let's add this, and let's see if we have flames and smokes, or if it's just starting the way I expect this. So we got a picture, that's good. We got a light of life, and the FPGA SID is signaling that it is some sort of working. So let's jump into the menu, and we can see SID changed. That's a good sign so far. And let's go to the SID socket configuration. So both sockets are enabled. SID detected socket 1. SID detected socket 2. Okay. So SID addressing. This looks quite okay-ish. What I'm a bit confused is that basically the Ultimate64 should detect the adapter I'm using. It isn't doing so because, good question. Here should be something else. So let's see if there was a setting with SID auto detection or something like this, as far as I remember. That's a bit weird. And that's actually not what I have expected. Oops. Let's find config guru and see what it is saying. Reband contacts on simple sockets with needle sometimes, but not possible on every socket. Yeah, that's some kind of common method to revitalize old sockets. And well, I mean, there is some sort of a whole philosophy fight on different retro boards, whether these classic sockets are better than the rounded, these precision sockets, or SIF sockets, zero insert force sockets. And well, I never really came up with a good opinion about this for myself. I usually tend to use standard sockets for standard ICs and use precision sockets like the one we can see here on this adapter for those newer connectors, those drilled contact connectors. But well, yeah, the FPGASID is communicating that it is running in demo mode, so it is actually not in the state I have expected him or her or whatever. Just a bit strange. So let's try something else. Switch this off and try to add this without the adapter and see what's going to happen then. So now we run into the problem that we do not have enough space here, so I may need a socket. Socket. Just to raise the FPGASID a little bit. Because the jumpers are a bit too high. And let's see if we're going to connect this to this pin. Got some flashing lights, that's quite okay-ish. And is it changed? Yep, I pretty much guess so. SID detected socket 1, FPGASID Duke Star. Okay. That's what I have expected just a couple of minutes ago with the adapter, but not with the FPGASID alone. That's some sort of funny. So let's do we have to save this? Probably not. Let's see what happens now. Right pin on chip select looked like it was wiggling between 6581 and 8580. Yeah, probably. So perhaps it was a contact issue or something like this, or well, let's see how we can dig into this. So what's diagnostic saying? So we get actually no addressing so far. So let's see, are we going to enable DE00? And everything is fine so far. Still have no signal on DE00, so let's jump into the Ultimate settings. I remember that there was somewhere an option what the pin on P7 is doing. Nope, not here. Oh, we got an extra menu, FPGASID in socket 1. Okay, that's interesting. Fundamental mode, whatever this is. Let's set it to stereo. Output mode 2 signals. LEDs on. Oh, it looks like we can configure the FPGASID completely with the Ultimate64. That's cool. But the interesting thing remains how to set up the addresses we want to use. So where is this setting for the P7 jumper? So on the standard Ultimate64, this connector row is not soldered. On the Elite version it is. And I have seen this somewhere in this configuration menu where we can select the output of this pin. So I have to admit, since the most recent firmware, I'm a little bit lost and haven't found the time to spend so much with this board recently. So it must be somewhere in one of these menus. Probably in the place where we're not going to expect this. Can't find it. That's really weird. Because this pin can be set to A5, A8 or IO1, I think. At least this was possible in the older versions. But it is not. SID addressing menu. Can't see it. That's weird. It's really weird. Was there something? X dual SID. I would expect it's either here or in the standard U64 specific settings. Nope. Can't find it. That's really strange. SID addressing. I think I went through all those menus a couple of times. So anyway, let's see what the config guru is saying right now. Demo mode. Now we have no FPGAs at all. It's a bit, yeah, it can't access the registers of the FPGAs, and hence this causes flickering in configuration. That's strange. That's really strange. Not in every Elite version. I had to solve myself. Haven't used any settings. Have used my scope to see which pin to use. Haven't used my U64 for a long time. Well, yeah, welcome to the club. It's going to be the very same for me. Ah, yeah, I remember the first revisions of the Elite versions have not been delivered with this connector row. And I think it was the most right pin, so maybe I mixed up the pins. That's probably one solution as well. But it has detected that there is an FPGA, so that's actually quite good. Fundamental mode, stereo, mono, LEDs off, and it has access to the FPGAs, so that's actually okay. Let's just disable this. So let's test whether we can hear something at all. So maybe let's begin with this. So do we have a title that's actually working on whatever kind of address we have to set? What kind of address configuration we are using right now? Enabled. SID addressing DE. Okay, let's go for 42. That's probably not going to play a role at all, but let's set it to the same. Pedal right, auto address. I think the config guru was struggling with this pedal override thing. I remember. So let's set this to off and oops, wrong key. How do we get out of this? Here we go. And I have another attempt on config guru. Demo mode, still in demo mode. That's strange, that's really strange. In the old firmware, the setting was in the SID addressing X dual SID split menu, but my memory is terrible. Every time I use the menus, I get lost. That's the very same for me. So I was stuck to an older firmware for quite a while, and this has worked for me. But recently, I thought it is about time to test the new one. And since then, I never really got in a really good relationship. So, we should have some sound. Can hear it. Let me quickly check my OBS settings. I see some level, but I can't hear it. Welcome to OBS. It sounds like it is. Sound coming from somewhere, but I can't hear it. That's so weird. Let me quickly check my OBS settings. Wrong output. Okay. So it looks pretty mono-ish to me. So I assume it's actually not working on two addresses. And it should be a little bit more sound than just this two voices. So, well, okay. Haven't made that much progress so far. And sounds a bit terrible to me. This one was set to 48. I thought I set it to 420, but well, let me check it. It's still in mono mode. That's probably one of the reasons. Socket 1, okay. And it's set to the wrong SID type anyway. So let's fix this. Quick type select 8580. 8580. Enable voices all fix. So I'm still a bit confused about this config guru thing. But yeah, let's check the SID addressing. SID 1 is set to 480. Why is that? That's weird. That's probably the reason why Config Guru can't find it. Here we go. Okay, thanks for this advice. Thanks, Chip, for being so paying so much attention to details. So, still have no DE because what? Because we haven't configured this strange pin. That's probably running on a different address. But we are making some progress. Okay. And as we can see, the configuration of the FPGASID has changed. That's good. Okay, let's flash it. And let's go on with this. Exit. And let's test the demo again. It sounds different. So I think we're getting closer, but the thing is that audio from the second SID isn't actually routed back to the board, because this has something we have to configure in the Config Guru, because there was a mixer option. Where was it? And am I using the right Config Guru version? There aren't that much places to do so. Fix on off, export, sit left, sit right, output, output, mix. Okay, so slash this. And test it again. Still will be mono. I think they are playing some Multisid's in the background. Volume Multisid. Yep. Let's set them to off. Panning socket 1, 2. Okay. So we will have a slight tendency to one to the left side if we are running just one SID. Yes. Okay. Still, SID2 is still on DE00, Mustard on D20. Actually, normally yes, but the FPGASID isn't connected to socket 2 right now. I have connected the FPGASID to this socket connector on the board, and this is actually a setting I'm searching for all of the time, because I remember that in all the firmware I was able to set this to A5, A8 or DE00, I think, but maybe that's actually included in the socket configuration. So yeah, let's have a look. Is it addressing 4440? That's going to be a little bit tricky now. It might be that the pin of this connector is set. It makes no sense, really. I mean, we can try to set the FPGASID to 420. As well. So actually the main idea is that we use this, let's say, old approach running 2 SIDs on a C64 by creating an additional chip select signal, which is usually routed to IO1 or IO2 on the expansion board. And this is actually just kind of an on-off signal telling the SID, now it's your time to read data from the address bus. And the trick I have used for this FPGASID adapters is actually that I'm getting the addresses from the second socket and route them as a chip select signal to the FPGASID. And therefore the FPGASID must be set to DE00, otherwise it wouldn't read this signal. But maybe that's different right now. I forgot to flash it, so well, let's see. So if we're going to connect this to A5, that's basically the pin we're going to need for D420. And let's start the demo again. Sounds like there's even less than before. Strange. Then, well, let's test if it's going to work with the adapter. So I'm actually not sure whether we make some progress without finding the setting. So I'm going to have the challenge to get this out of the socket again. Oh no, it's not too tricky. So here, actually, let me switch to this picture. Here I have actually a couple of connectors which are getting stuff from the second socket, and one of it is actually the chip select signal, because the Ultimate64 is working in a way that if you run two SIDs set on different addresses, then the socket 2 gets an unique or an chip select signal on its own when something is written to the selected SID address. So this is a little bit different to the common 64 method of just reading from the bus, but it is actually working quite well. So let's see if we're going to connect this and get the chip select signal from here. If we now see some changes. Oh, well, as long as it's not going up in flames, I'm quite happy. So let's see. An X dual SID range split. Where do you see this? Ah, here. Okay. Thank you very much. A5, A6, A7, A8, A9. Okay. Great. We made some progress. Thanks a lot for finding this. That's indeed very helpful. I have never looked in this. Okay. So anyway, now we are using the adapter, and now the chip select signal should be created every time we have something written to D420. So let's see if this is going to work. And the FPGASID was still configured in this way that it's supposed to run on either D420 or DE00. So that's probably something that might help right now. Now it sounds like stereo. Okay, great. So this is working right now. That's fine. Then, well, let's test something else. If we're going to set this to a rather strange address, let's say DE00. If this is still the case, and just for the sake of having some variation in terms of tunes. Oh, not working at all. Any other that runs on this address? These are just tunes. I have no idea which address they are using. So great, cool, this is working. I'm quite happy. And well, then let's move on to the next challenge and try to get 2 FPGASIDs to work on the Ultimate64. So let me just quickly reset this. And I know we have to switch it off at all, because we have to configure the second FPGASID. I have actually no idea what kind of settings I have used for this one. And before we go too experimental, let's use the very same approach here and test it in the same way. I may build a new connector for this one. So, SID socket configuration. Looks fine. SID addressing. D40DE00. That's fine. I love hanging on demos if I try something. Yeah. We will have a look at some demos as well. I think I got a few 2 or 3 SID demos on my USB stick. FPGASID. Stereo, 2 signals, 8580. That looks all fine to me. So let's have a quick test. Oops, nope. Different. Tune. Wrong address. Okay, so that can be fixed. Set addressing 420. And this is indeed the cool thing with the Ultimate64. We can do this on the fly. I think we are missing a couple of voices here. So let me quickly jump into the config guru and have a look. Now that's supposed to work. D00 is okay because we are using this external chip select signal. Let me set the HDMI menu to overlay. Okay. Set addressing. So usually the configure should see the E00 as well. That's actually not even showing the base address. That's interesting. So maybe you have to restart this. Check. That's okay. Nope. That's strange. I'm actually not sure whether this is normal for the Ultimate board. Because to be honest, I haven't spent that much time with the FPGASID on the Ultimate, since I have used this most of the time on the reloaded MK2 board. But we can test something else now that we know where we can find a setting for this pin. And that's supposed to be a 9. Let's see what it's telling us. Perhaps not. This should give us D500. Let's see what it's saying right now. Now okay, we may have to connect this. Because A8 is usually in the middle and A5 is the top pin. Let's see what happens on 5. This should give us this address. So actually I'm not sure whether config guru is working the way we expect this. A5 should give us D420. So, and that's a bit strange that we're not going to see this. Maybe I'm using the wrong pin. Maybe it's not the right pin, maybe it's the left pin. Let me quickly check something. Let me get out of this beep. So, January 2019, I did a video about FPGASID on the Ultimate64, but I'm not saying which pin I have to use. That's strange. Nope, that's not the right one. Very strange. Because actually this is not related to this adapter at all. So if we run an FPGASID on socket 1, and want to access additional addresses, we have to connect this to this pin. I'm actually not sure which one. I thought it's the most right one. Let's Google it. And in newer boards it looks different. There's a different connector. It's just 2 pins. Okay, that's the wrong pin I'm using. Okay, cool. This is ground. I have connected this to ground. So let's go back and connect this to, but just to be on the safe side, let's switch it off. Do not trust those grabbers too much. So actually so let's see. SID changed. Please review settings. Okay. Once again, FPGASID in socket 1. Stereo, 2 signals. Everything is fine so far. And SID addressing X dual SID range split A5. That's fine. So let's check configure. What it is saying to us. Go to export mode D420, that's fine. And here we go. Still can't hear the second voice because it should be routed back to the second socket. Why isn't it doing so? That must be a configuration issue here. Audio mixer. Oh, it's on. It's fine. Strange. That's fine as well. Oh, there's some action going on in the chat. Let me quickly recap. I have to do something in my man cave to use my U64 again. My knowledge rusts. Yeah, that's actually the same for me. I got so many other things to do that I have not that much time coming back to the Ultimate 64, which is sort of unfair because it is actually a cool device, but well, yeah. Why do we not have an audio signal on socket 2? That's strange. So we can kind of fake this by setting the output to mix. No, it's not saying anything at all. Weird. Well, let's ignore this for a while and see if we can run some demos instead. And what's going to happen there? Oh, it's still not so stereo as I wanted. Yeah, but the wiring is actually okay. I checked the FPGASID manual and it's supposed to be connected to this. Alright. Socket 2 is mute. Now I have checked this. Socket 2 is on 0 dB. It's fine. Maybe the FPGA SID is broken. That would be a very strange thing. So that's all fine. And this is straight weird. What the heck is going on here? That's really weird. A strange thing, it was working with the other SID. Wow, it's still a mess. Let me check the other SID. Maybe I have kind of screwed up this one, which is hopefully not the case, but who knows. Oh, it's a bit hard to remove with the second socket. I have attached to it. Or let me try something else. What if we're going to put this back on the socket without the adapter? What is it saying right now? Enabled FPGA, none. So that's actually fine. Fundamental mode stereo. Set it to mono, one signal. Save. And run just a standard SID. Do I have something like this? SIDs, here we go. Ah, 2 SIDs. Even more 2 SIDs. Ah, that's good. So that's fine. So then let's check if we can A5 to kept working. Oops, wrong key. Yeah, so the yeah, that's fine. That's fine too, because the second signal isn't routed somewhere else. Let's see what config guru is doing right now. That's fine. Okay. So perhaps in the diagnostics this mix option isn't working at all. So doing this over the Ultimate, it was working, but it looks like here on diagnostics it's not working. Probably that's the reason, because the address is there and the sound was working in the demo or in the 2-sit. So let's ignore this for a while. Bring back the adapter. See if we have a different tune. I think a couple of voices are missing here. Interesting. Yeah, maybe that's an auto function. That could be true, yeah. That's weird, isn't it? Let's test something else. I got an idea. So as you can see, there is indeed an audio on the output of the second SID from the FPGA SID. Just can't hear it because I'm using a different input. Let me quickly add this. Oh, it's all over the place. So it's really that the audio isn't routed to... It is routed to the Ultimate64, but it's not mixed into the audio signal. Can even push this to the limits. So now we're seeing two signals. Let me change the scale a bit. Maybe a different tune would be helpful as well. Anyway, so... Oh. Oh. Okay, so there's at least proof that the FPGASID is actually outputting something on the audio connector. You just can't hear it. So... audio mixer. Oh, still on. Why the heck can be heard? I would understand that the audio for the second socket is muted if we set the second socket to disabled, but well. So let's bring it back to the initial settings and how the adapter was meant to be used at all. Getting loose a bit here. Let me power cycle that whole thing. This menu is gone. I understand. Here it is. Power off. Okay. It changed. Okay, that's cool. Enabled, FPGASID Dukes. Okay, that's fine. SID addressing, that's fine too. Then let's run FPGASID. Go D00, that's fine as well. Output is dual. Still no beep on second socket. That's not so cool. I'm actually not even sure whether the Ultimate64 overrides the FPGA settings. Because from my understanding that's going to work because we are using the chip select signal from the second socket and route it over the E00 into the FPGA SID. So this is how it has worked in the former days. But the tune itself sounded a bit strange right now. Strange broken trace or bad contact on adapter. Well, that could possibly be one of the reasons as well. So let me quickly jump back to the first FPGA SID. Not that we are hunting something on the wrong path, and then at the end it is just an issue with the FPGA SID. Very simple reason. I have added this socket connector to raise this SID in order to fit it to socket 1, and therefore that's funny. That's really just as an example. I'm using those pogo pins, and if I add a socket to the FPGA SID, then the pogo pin is too short, as you may see it here. Therefore, we can't hear what the FPGA SID is trying to output on socket 2. So, or on the second SID. Ah, okay. That's something you have to come up with. Interesting. So the hint with this strange broken trace was actually not far off. Let's see. It changed again. Weird. So that's fine. Okay. That's a bit strange, I have to admit. Ah, no SID found. Interesting. So, what happened? None. So it looks like we're moving forth and back. Why is it none? Looks good to me. Once again. And here it is. So it really looks like I have to replace these sockets on this Ultimate64 board. They are really worn out, and this is actually really causing a lot of issues. Here we go. That's fine. Let's see what config guru is saying. That's fine as well. That's fine. And we got stereo beep. So, thanks a lot, Marco, for this hint with this broken trace. What that was really what we were looking for. So, let's see whether the demos are working. How to get out of this? Yeah. And let's see whether we can find. I had a couple of 2-SID demos as well. Actually tunes. wrong address. Okay, but that can be fixed on. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to sound. Yeah, you're right. And now it should work with A5 as well. But the idea behind this adapter is that we are not forced to use this pin. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. And with using the adapter, we have the chance to just quickly change address on the fly. And that's actually the idea behind this. What I'm actually looking for, that's the one we had already today. Probably running on the wrong address now. That sounds a little strange. So, but I think that's actually enough with one FPGA SID, and since this wasn't really challenging, let's move on to add 2 FPGA SIDs to the Ultimate64. As far as I remember, I have configured both of them right now, but let me quickly check this before we make things too complicated. So that's fine. That's fine too. So let's see how we can get 2 of them to work. So now I have to use my very weird adapter I have created quite quickly. Just have to check connect this in the right way. So, and then so number 1, let's start without this, and number 2, maybe we should have set them to mix, but well, that's actually just, I haven't tested the audio yet, so let's see. So what I expect is it has changed, okay. FPGASID, that's fine, yeah. Address, it's okay so far. And let's see, and we're going to run a demo. Let's start with 2 SIDs. Sounds a bit strange. So just... Well, actually we should hear something on 2 audio inputs. I just see a signal on 1 audio input right now. I think something isn't working with the addresses right now. Let's see what happens now. Now it should work this way. This sounds a bit strange, but maybe there's something wrong with my audio setup. So let me quickly check this. As I said, I haven't tested this before. 7, 8. I think I've connected it to the wrong inputs. Ah, yeah, I see. Remove this. So it looks like one FPGA SID is working the way I want this, but the second one doing something odd. question is just which one? So well, that's actually maybe an issue with my self-made connector. Yellow and orange is supposed to be the first one, I think. Get this out of here. So that's working, that's fine. So let's check what happens when we swap them. This connector isn't really looking very reliable to me. Maybe it's really just a connector issue. Yeah, it's actually not really connected. Some sort of mono-ish. That's strange. Yeah, so it looks like the connector's broken. And I'm not even sure if this is fixable. Ah, yes, I see. There's one contact that has been bent and it's causing some sort of a short circuit. It's probably hard to see. So on the right hand side connector you can see that there is, it's really hard to see, I think. Probably. There's this goldish thing in the middle, and this is supposed to be on the side of this hole. And as you can see, the left hand side one is very blackish because this contact isn't bent, and probably not going to get this fixed. Oh, maybe yes, maybe I get this fixed. Let's see. I'm not even sure whether there's even more broken inside. We made such good progress until now, and now it's going to be stopped by a broken 6.3 millimeter socket. This looks good. Let's see. Nope. That sounds good. That's one FPGASID. And these are two FPGASIDs. Cool. So now let's start with the easy thing and set them to two different addresses. And let's run a test set. I have no idea what's going to be the second address. So maybe we should use a tune we have used before. So that we have this on the hard right side is quite normal, since I'm using a different input now. Let me see whether I can find a filter in OBS to some sort of pressing this into mono signal. Nope. Would probably require a VST plugin or something like this. Which I do not have on hand. But that's actually the voice of one FPGASID. And that's the voice of the other FPGASID. Let's try to find a different tune. So it looks to me that the FPGASID is a little bit lost because it has no signal input. So let's fix this. I'm actually not sure whether the configure writes the configuration to both of them. So let us set them to D8, to A8. So this is actually really new. As I said before, this is something I have tested on the MK2 so far, because there I have access to IO1, AO2, and I can use 4 different addresses. I think that has been an issue for a long time on the Ultimate boards. So this should provide us D500 on the FPGASID. So the second SID shouldn't play anything at all if it's not receiving anything on A8. Let's test the mono SID first. Or maybe I can change this in the mixer of my audio interface. Channels, output. Puts. Maybe I can set them all to mono. Input. Oh, can't do that. No, unfortunately it's not possible to set them to work in mono mode. And I do not have a mono plugin for OBS. Ah, unfortunately. But that's interesting. Ah, no, that's normal. Now we just hear one FPGASID because the second one is set to a different address. But that's fine. Okay. So the second FPGASID is playing the same on both emulated SIDs. That's strange. So what happened if we set them to the same address on here? Now I need a tune where I can configure the second address. I'm a bit confused that the second SID is playing the same on two SIDs. No, that's fine. Yeah, it's not so fine. That's the second FPGASID. Ah, I got a little bit confused by the signal. Okay. So what happened if we're going to set this socket to a different address? Still playing something. Ah, Okay, so that's I mixed them. That's FPGASID 2. And this is playing now the second SID since it's not receiving anything on the first SID. Okay. Nope, I need a different tune. One where I can change the base address. Here we go. So that's actually working, that's fine. And this is what I have expected. This is not working since what? D400 and A8. That's strange. This SID should play at least one SID right. So actually I would love to get this running in 3-SID mode. So we may have to mute or to set the first FPGASID to makes actually no sense right now. That's strange. Now I'm a bit confused. Okay. So they are not mixed. This is what I just found right now. I'm just a bit confused why the second SID is making just such strange noise. Let's restart that thing. That's really strange. So either the FPGASID with the number 1, which is the second one, has a configuration issue, since it's not playing something on SID 1 correctly, nor on SID 2. Strange. So I may test this with the MK2. Which is going to make things a little bit more complicated. Or let me check the configuration of the FPGASIDs again. As far as I remember, it should be possible to run a 3-SID tune/demo on the Ultimate, because that's something I've done before. But this is more than 2 years. This was more than 2 years ago. And since then we have seen a couple of changes in firmware. That's probably something that isn't working as I have it in mind. We got a problem with this. There's not enough space. That's probably the issue. We need this configuration. Maybe I haven't saved the configuration. That could be one of the points. I think both two addresses on FPGASID2 are now on one address. So FPGASID2 is screwed up. Yeah, right. I think that's really the issue. I'm actually not sure whether the Ultimate is writing to the FPGASIDs when we are going through the settings here. Enabled. Addressing, they are the same. A8. So, one step too far. Let's check a mono-SID. FPGAs 2 is still behaving strange. Using FPGASID 1 with A5 and FPGASID 2 and higher address could work. Yeah, that's actually what I'm trying to achieve. So if I play a standard SID, the FPGASID 2 shouldn't play something at all. Which is now the case. Now we can hear FPGASID 1, SID 1. Things get confusing. So, and if we're going to play, let me quickly change the addressing to something higher. It's fine. Set this to A5. Okay. So now we can hear SID 1 playing on the base address on the right channel and SID 2 playing on both SIDs address D500. And now I expect SID 1 to play on right and left. That's not the case. Okay. Now that's FPGA SID 1 playing SID 1 and 2 in stereo mode. That's fine. So now let's find a tune that is using exactly the addresses we are trying to use right now. Set SID3 address. Ah, okay, we can change this actually. Cursor left, right. 500. So, very nice. That has been quite a long story to get this running. And I'm still a bit confused why the second SID is playing on both voices or both SIDs. Because my understanding is basically that it should play just on one. But, well, not going to complain about this too much since I'm actually running. I'm actually happy that this is working at all. So I really have to dig a little bit deeper about this configuration things, and what I'm probably going to test is if the signals from the expansion port can be used for the FPGAs. It's not something that hasn't worked in the past. There's a video on my channel, which I'm probably going to link in the description section as well, because one of my ideas at the very beginning was to create this as a completely solderless solution. So as we've learned today, there are some revisions of the Ultimate boards, standard as well as Elite, which are coming without this jumper connector, whatever you want to call this. And I had built an adapter to use these signal cables on the expansion port. So you just had to, you could use this hole in your standard case to route the cables out of your case, and then you just connect this to the expansion port. And there are all address lines available, A5, A8, IO1, IO2. And then we would have the chance to run really a 4-SID configuration on the Ultimate64 as well, as it is working on the reloaded MK2. But there is some, I don't know, some problems with the signal levels or signal timing. So the FPGA SID isn't reading the signals from the expansion port in a way it is doing on standard C64 boards. Anyway, and but well, as we can see, it is possible to run at least a 3-SID configuration on the Ultimate64, and this is indeed one of the purposes of this breakout adapter, FPGA SID adapter, whatever we want to call this. And I'm actually just waiting for a different cable to arrive. I have ordered a 4-pole shielded cable to create a better version of this breakout adapter. It isn't actually not visible, as I recognize, since this is not really coming up to audio levels because there's no shield, something like this. And as we have learned today, these 6.3 millimeter sockets are not very reliable either. So that's something I want to improve. And what I have in mind is actually to create a 4-connector cinch cable to connect this to this FPGA SID adapter. And one of the ideas I had initially with this, I probably can show you this, yeah. This adapter, and here I have used a so-called 5-pin USB socket. And especially for the Ultimate64, this is exactly aligned with the video output, with the high frequency video output hole. And somewhere in my boxes I got a connector that you need this special 5-pin USB plug. And then you can create a breakout cable which you can connect from the outside, and you do not have this issue where to route this cable through your case without drilling holes, something like this. So this is the main purpose of having those different options here. But these sockets and these plugs are a little bit tricky to get, and they are a little bit expensive as well. So most of the time I go for this GST connector thing here. And well, that's actually the idea behind this adapter. So, well, yeah, it has been quite challenging, and it looks like I really have to do this a bit more often to just stay a little bit informed, stay in training. So thanks a lot to your people in the chat, especially for figuring out where to find this configuration for this pin. I would never have used, I would never have searched in this area. So thanks a lot again to Adam, who has figured it out. And thanks to all the other comments, ideas, suggestions in the chat. That was really indeed very helpful. And it has been quite a lengthy session. So we are close to 3 hours now. And I think that's really enough for today. So thanks for your patience and thanks for joining. And then see you for the next episodes. And have a nice evening, day, wherever you are. And bye-bye.